Welcome back. It is time for Legal Live with Tom Winslow of Goldfinch Winslow. Now, this is where we take some of the things in the news that are of potential legal matters or real legal matters, and we get a more of a personal idea of what's going on.
I'll give you whatever you want.
A week ago, there were tax returns that were released, or tax information released, of all the billionaires out there, and the fact that it showed they paid little to no taxes, which was all legal. But the part out of this that wasn't legal is the fact that their information was all strewn about the internet for everyone to see.
That's right. There's all kinds of protections out there regarding your personal records. That's tax records, your school records if you're a student, your healthcare records, right? That's why you have all these protections. And so the release of this information is actually the big issue, not actually the information that was released.
Right. So if the information was released illegally, and it was, and then something was found illegal in those findings by one of those billionaires, could they then be prosecuted even though the information was distributed illegally?
See, I love that. It's such an interesting concept because what you're doing is you're applying criminal law to this situation. A part of that would be who released it, right? So in order to pursue a situation like that, it's called fruit of the poisonous tree.
Okay.
And so it's such an interesting concept because what that means is if you obtain something illegally, you can't use it for a legal process.
Gotcha.
Right? So did the IRS release it so that way it could be exposed? Did the government official release it because it could be exposed? Maybe so. Maybe you could make that argument as an attorney. Otherwise, it was just a misdeed, like when Target has information released, stuff like that, then it can be used because it wasn't a government official or a police officer doing that for that purpose.
So they'd have to be able to prove the fact that somehow this information got out and it wasn't, if it was a whistleblower from the IRS, that would be an illegal means then, correct?
It's almost the source of where that came from, right? A lot of times when a police officer would do something like that, or someone of that nature would do that in a criminal law setting, you couldn't use it. So it kind of depends on who released that information would make that determination.
Yeah, and so we'll have to find out whenever that information does come out, if they ever determine how that happened. And then from a legal perspective too, if you're in one of those situations and maybe you see some wrongdoing, you kind of know at that point, don't release this because it would not do you any good.
That's right, and you don't want to get yourself in trouble unnecessarily, right? And so you wouldn't put that stuff out there. But the question is of the nature of what's your right to protect yourself if it does get released? And that's where a lot of those lawsuits come in on a civil matter, right? So you got a criminal implication and you got a civil implication all built into this one situation.
Yeah, who knew so much could come from, like you said, one situation with this. So if you're in a legal matter, or you feel like something's out there and these guys can help you, you guys cover so much of the different facets of the law, they're going to have you covered. How do they get in contact with you?
That's what we try to do, cover everything you might need. Goldfinch Winslow, 843-357-9301, goldfinchwinslow.com.